I'm Adrienne Pedersen. Today on Upfront, the governor's plans to spend your tax dollars, two key lawmakers on what's likely in and what's probably out of the governor's new budget. Plus,
I want to make sure that we're not outgunned, that we're able to compete and win back this seat.
U.S. Senate candidate Alex Lasry, how a New York-born son of a billionaire thinks he'll represent Wisconsin residents. And performance venues shuttered since the start of the pandemic. Can they be saved?
Taking on the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with your host, Adrienne Pedersen.
Thank you for joining us. Governor Evers has proposed a $91 billion plan for state spending over the next 2 years. He would raise taxes by $1.6 billion, but also make $600 million of other tax cuts. He would increase funding for K-12 schools by $1.6 billion and increase UW funding by $190 million. He also wants to repeal Act 10 and reform the criminal justice system. Among his ideas, returning 17-year-old defendants to the juvenile justice system.
I am optimistic and I am hopeful. I believe we can pass a budget with bipartisan support.
So will they? We're asking two members of the legislature's budget writing committee. We have Republican Senator Dale Kuenga of Brookfield and Democratic Senator LaTonya Johnson of Milwaukee, both joining us. So I want to start with this criminal justice reform. Part of this is calling for an end to 17-year-olds being placed in the adult criminal justice system with some exceptions. Wisconsin is one of only 3 states that treats 17-year-olds like adults in this way. So I'm curious, Senator Johnson, why do you think that 1 year would make a difference?
Because it has been shown that children in the juvenile justice system, they have access to more programming, to more educational opportunities that help to deter recidivism. So making sure that we treat those children as children is extremely important because they need to have access to those additional services and programs that they're entitled to as a juvenile. And that should help adult incarceration.
Senator Kuenga, what do you think about this? Is this something Republicans are open to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of support on the Republican side for corrections reforms. And I think to Senator Johnson's point that if it's about changing behavior and reducing recidivism, that's something that we should definitely move in the direction of doing. The question is should this be in the budget? And also moving a 17-year-old from the adult prison to the juvenile system is not only where they're physically housed, but it's under what set of laws that they are being applied against their crime. So those all have to be looked in detail. And so I think the position of the Republicans will be that we want to look at that. We're serious about reforms, but that should be looked upon outside of the budget process.
Well, I think the budget, it has its place. For example, the raise the age from 17 to 18, putting those kids back in the juvenile justice system. When I got elected in 2012 and 2013, that was one of my first bills. The problem was that the counties wanted nothing to do with it because the county execs didn't have a way to fund it. So putting it in the budget not only ensures that it has the opportunity to pass, but it's also providing the funds to make sure that we pay the counties the cost that's associated with raising the age of those children. And as far as Lincoln Hills, we're all committed to closing Lincoln Hills. I do think that it should be in the budget because it shows its commitment and it attaches dollar amounts to that. We wanted to close it a lot earlier, but unfortunately, we just don't have the programs and the processes in place to get that done. So I do think that it's something that should be discussed in the budget because it keeps that commitment at the forefront.
And Senator Johnson.
Just one more big point on this is that, and this is my chief criticism of this focus, is that the governor's proposal focuses on downstream effects. When what we should be focusing on is what is upstream when these crimes are actually committed, and that's education. And that's why we've been pounding the table on opening the schools. Like, we can't continue to keep kids out of classrooms and pretend like it won't have an impact on the future on rates of crime and quality of life in the community. And by all the statistics, like we are through the roof in Milwaukee this year on crimes, 95% of homicide, 25% aggravated assault. So I appreciate the conversations on these downstream problems, and they need to happen. But the time right now is to focus on the upstream causes of those problems, which in part is we're going to find out in the future is we got to get our schools open.
Well, let's talk about education then, and education funding and boosting school spending by $1.6 billion, including increasing funding for the UW system. The governor said he thinks this is something that has bipartisan support. So do we think that it does, Senator Kwenga?
Yeah, I mean, the concept, the largest increases in K-12 funding in Wisconsin have been after Act 10. And I think that the Republicans have shown under both Governor Evers' leadership and Governor Walker's leadership is that we're willing to put resources out there in our schools. But what we need to look at is right now there is significant billions of dollars in federal money going to our schools. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to have that money combined with state money to create a new baseline that is not sustainable going forward. So what I would like to push, what I would like to really encourage school districts to do is that our kids are going to be behind right now because of this last year. And I really encourage school districts to use that federal money and isolate it for a robust summer school program. And I think that should be focused mostly on teacher salaries, pay them well for their time in the classroom during the summer. But we should look at, we're going to have at least baseline funding in education. We should spend more on districts that have been open because those districts have higher costs. The federal money actually does the opposite. The federal money goes more to school districts that are closed than that are open. So I think there'll be plenty of money on the table for education between the federal money and existing state money and possibly a little more on top of that. But really, we need to focus on the outputs, not the inputs. The inputs are the money going in, the outputs are the results. And we're only going to see better outputs if we get a robust summer school program going.
Senator Johnson, what do you think about the governor's education proposal?
You know what? I think that the governor's educational proposal shows where our resources should be spent. You know, with saying that more money should go to schools that are open, you eliminate one of the largest public school systems like Milwaukee Public Schools. We all saw the study where they tested 17 rural schools and said that it was safe for these schools to reopen. But what about our urban city schools? You know, the governor's program not only spends roughly around $55 million in making sure that we can increase per pupil spending by $750 per student, but it also provides an additional $75 per pupil for children that attend disadvantaged school systems. So if we want to close that educational gap, we're going to have to spend more, especially in those communities that are underserved, because they can't rely heavily on property values because so many properties in those areas are blighted. $54 million the governor has set aside for mental health. That's extremely important in our school systems.
I support an increase in mental health for schools, but here's the thing. We're talking about downstream problems again. You know why we need so many resources for mental health in our schools? In part because mental health issues have exponentially increased the last year because of the pressure put on our kids because of our closed schools, in part. What you need is not huge amounts of money for kids in these schools. Is what you need is the physical presence of adults, including teachers with our kids. Money does not replicate the physical presence of caring adults. And so instead of putting tens of millions of dollars into mental health counseling, let's get our schools open so that the trajectory of mental health issues with our children goes the opposite direction. There is a social injustice in our state. The social injustice in our state is that white kids in Wisconsin exponentially have more access to in-person learning in Wisconsin than children of color in Wisconsin. That is a social injustice, and nothing in this budget changes the incentive of school districts in Wisconsin to overcome that reality.
And Senator Johnson, I'll give you the final word on this.
Thank you. It's not just the presence that white kids have over black kids. It's the quality of schools too, because of underserved and social economic injustice in these communities. So that extra $75 per pupil that's going to go to those disadvantaged communities can be used to help mend that divide. So to think that, just having kids in school is the only thing that we need to do is not the answer. We need to make sure that the schools have the resources so there's equity in education. The reality is upper middle class black kids will do significantly worse academically than poor white kids. And the reason is because of access to quality education. And that's what we need to focus on. And Governor Evers' budget does that.
Well, Senators, thank you both for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can see more of the interview on our website, where I'm asking the lawmakers about Act 10 repeal and marijuana legalization. That's on the upfront section of WISN.com. Coming up, Democratic candidates for U.S. Senate are getting in the race early, even though the incumbent Republican hasn't made up his mind. I'll talk with new candidate Alex Lasry about how he thinks he can win. That's next and later.
We are hearing there were quite a few venues who couldn't make it through the end of the calendar year.
Saving performance venues struggling in the pandemic.